The very first thing we did, we got on this little Porsche track, like south in LA, and we got on with Lewis. And Lewis and I met out at the track and just spent a couple of runs in the Porsche. On my way home, I looked down and I was going 111 miles per hour down the freeway, and I went, "Oh my God, what have I done?"
Brad Pitt paced the gray sand of a Malibu beach at sunrise last Tuesday and muttered a question that would have sounded absurd when he was Hollywood's golden boy. How do you restart a life the tabloids insist is already perfect? 3 time zones away, Katy Perry clutched a crystal-studded microphone, blinked through mascara-glittered tears in front of 20,000 fans, and answered in real time. You keep singing and pray the spotlight hides the fractures. Their private crises detonated within 48 breathless hours, weaving one panoramic cautionary tale about fame, heartbreak, and the brutal price of staying on top.
Holding a box of Australian Tim Tam chocolate biscuits, Katy made that cryptic comment while singing her 2008 breakup anthem, I'm Still Breathing, during her Sydney concert Tuesday.
Brad's descent, when the plane door closed. September 2016 began like any other award season tease. A private jet, 6 kids asleep in the cabin, and parents arguing about parenting. By wheels down, the fight had escalated into an official investigation, a paparazzi feeding frenzy, and the slow death of an 11-year partnership with Angelina Jolie. Pitt's household staff remember him wandering the estate at odd hours, chain-smoking French cigarettes, and asking security guards if loneliness echoes. The studio offers dried up in sympathy, then in exasperation, and finally, in fear.
Maybe in the earlier years, I don't know. I don't even think much about perception anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly people look at you this way and I don't feel that good.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like this. Other people look at me like I'm an asshole and I go, I feel a little better than that though.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, you run into that.
Some executives quietly wondered whether a beloved hero had turned villain in real time. Feeling the walls close in, Pitt drove himself at 3 a.m. to an anonymous church basement, slipped into a folding metal chair, and introduced himself to a room of strangers by saying, I broke everything I wanted to protect. The man who once toasted premieres with cases of vintage champagne swapped red carpet flashbulbs for lukewarm percolator coffee. He kept going back. He murmured through the Serenity prayer until the words stopped tasting like cardboard and started feeling like medicine. He still keeps the same folding chair chip in his wallet, scuffed plastic proof that humility can be portable.
Brad Pitt is opening up about his sobriety journey. During the recent episode of Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, the Ocean 11 alum revealed how, quote, amazing Alcoholics Anonymous was for him after Angelina Jolie filed for divorce in 2016.
If the musty odor of church basements grounded him, the roar of engines offered escape, race fuel, and reinvention, the F1 detour. Most comeback strategies start with safe, prestigious period dramas. Pitt rejected that playbook, opting instead to strap himself into a prototype Formula One car custom-rigged with 6 IMAX cameras. Racing legends whispered that the 61-year-old insisted on memorizing actual pit lane protocols, waving off stunt doubles for anything under 200 miles per hour. Engineers joked that his resting heart rate stayed calmer than the telemetry coming off the engine block. The gamble worked. Premiere night, the film's opening sequence blasted through 15 surround sound subwoofers and silenced every critic still sharpening knives for another Pitt and Jolie headline.
I was running to things to avoid tough feelings, painful feelings. I just didn't know how to deal with them, and looking for anything I use for escape. Those kinds of, difficult feelings. I don't know how better to describe it.
Audiences saw a silver-haired speed demon hurtling into hairpin turns with the fearlessness of a rookie and the poise of a veteran. For 2 glorious hours, the narrative belonged to him again, and the only custody he fought for was control of the steering wheel. But even a 200-mile-per-hour escape can't outrun regret. The regret that money can't erase. 2 days after the box office victory came a quieter revelation. Pitt confided to friends that the cheers felt hollow when he couldn't call his eldest son to share the moment. The walls of his craftsman kitchen are lined with Polaroids. Maddox at an arcade, Pax teaching Zahara guitar, Shiloh in a Halloween skeleton jumpsuit, twins Knox and Vivian licking melted ice cream into Picasso swirls. He stands there some mornings, barefoot on cool limestone, staring at those snapshots like windows into a country that revoked his visa. He writes letters now. Long, handwritten apologies that fold awkwardly into envelopes, because catharsis is really formatted for stationery.
I needed rebooting. I needed to wake the up in some areas. I was pretty much on my knees. I was trying anything and everyone. Anything anyone threw at me. It was a particular difficult time.
He refuses to send them as text messages. Too easy, too ephemeral. He mails each one, stamps crooked, and slides the postmarked receipt into a glass jar marked "Evidence of Trying." He says he'll keep writing until the handwriting doesn't shake. Brad cataloged regrets. Katy Perry's fairy tale was dissolving in real time. Katy in Orlando, from meet cute to meltdown. It began like a Tumblr fever dream. She caught him stealing a slider off her plate at a Golden Globes after-party, laughed so hard she almost spilled champagne, and he countered with a saucy wink that launched 1,000 gifs.
Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom's relationship status is in question. The hot and cold singer and the Lord of the Rings alum, who went public with their romance in 2016 and announced their engagement 3 years later, have become the subjects of major breakup speculation this month.
She, rainbow-haired pop titan who once closed the Super Bowl with dancing sharks. He, swashbuckling elf archer turned prestige streamer darling, newly divorced from supermodel royalty and eager for a reset. Within weeks, they were posting flirtatious fencing selfies, hopping between yacht decks in Capri, and sneaking soft-focus paparazzi shots that looked more perfume campaign than candid. The romance wasn't linear. They split in 2017 after what friends called life-speed mismatch, then reunited at an Ed Sheeran concert, claiming the universe wouldn't stop orchestrating accidental run-ins.
Making cryptic comments, Katy Perry, amid rumors she and Orlando Bloom are on the rocks.
This song was about a breakup and this Tim Tam saved me.
That's Katy on stage in Australia as Orlando reveals who he's leaning on half a world away.
He's a real emotional support animal because I'm very emotional right now.
Valentine's Day 2019 sealed the reboot. A rooftop proposal under fairy-like canopies, heart-shaped diamond, champagne flutes slipping condensation onto a bespoke poem she later framed in their hallway. Even Disney borrowed the tableau for a streaming promo. True love packaged in 4K. Reality, however, resists brand management. Night feed duty clashed with dawn rehearsals, her ears rang from stadium roar while his spirit craved off-grid horse ranches between medieval sword fight takes. Postpartum fatigue blurred into postponed wedding dates. Therapy was tried, schedules color-coded, but Daisy Dove still learned to kiss glass screens goodnight because two careers couldn't meet in one time zone. When Blue Origin offered seats on a future civilian flight, Perry dreamed of cosmic lullabies. Bloom reportedly worried about ground control contingencies. Another fault line. On July 3rd, the press release landed like an email confirmation for a cancellation nobody wanted, shifting our relationship, prioritizing respect and co-parenting. No villain narrative, just two exhausted adults choosing separate maps. Industry pundits applauded the diplomacy. Reddit detectives parsed syntax for hidden blame, but silence, like feedback after an encore, rang the loudest. Public statements can be polished. Concert stages are raw. The human pinata and a shattered Genoris. Adelaide's twilight humidity clung to the arena roof as Katy paced the catwalk, whispering her pre-show mantra: one breath, one beat, one truth. The setlist glittered on her tablet, but a single asterisk glared beside Firework, marking an improvised acoustic bridge she'd added hours earlier. Just in case emotions spill. Crew members exchanged sympathetic nods. Everyone sensed the dam was thin. When house lights dropped, she erupted into the neon pink opener, Teenage Dream, hitting each belt like muscle memory. Yet cameras caught the micro tremors, a clenched jaw during ET, a half-step linger on the lift before wide awake.
This is Tim Tam Stacy.
Backstage, her vocal coach hovered by the monitor, thumb hovering over the talk-back button. Halfway through the show, Katy paused, scanning the sea of glow bracelets. "Life's a ride, isn't it?" She exhaled, voice cracking on ride, then laughed it off with a pub joke about koalas and jet lag. The audience roared, but savvy fans sensed foreshadowing. The moment arrived at the bridge of firework. On the word ignite, her voice wobbled, eyes glassed, and she placed a hand over her heart as if steadying loose glass. For 2 measured beats, the microphone dipped. Then she rallied, pushing through the final chorus with raw, unvarnished grit. Confetti cannons boomed, showering the stage in rainbow shards that clung to her tears, turning them into strobing jewels under spotlights. Backstage, she crumpled into a folding chair, breathing in shuddered gusts that smelled of sweat, hairspray, and gunpowdered confetti dust. A crew member offered water. She asked for a Sharpie instead, scrawling "human piñata," still standing, on her forearm like a makeshift Barrios. Battle tattoo! Minutes later, that inked arm appeared in a shaky selfie posted to her Instagram stories, captioned only with a heart emoji. And night one down. The internet detonated. Within hours, the piñata metaphor became rallying cry and lightning rod. Fan accounts launched Piñata Pact, pledging to counter every troll comment with 2 positive facts. Some quoted her UNICEF ambassadorship, others shared personal stories of queer teens finding courage in her lyrics. Meanwhile, skeptics dissected time-stamped footage, claiming the crack in her voice coincided too perfectly with the camera's tight zoom. Strategic vulnerability, they alleged. TikTokers spliced the clip with stock footage of exploding papier-mâché, overlaying captions like "marketing" or "meltdown." The dueling narratives rocketed engagement to orbital levels. Tour accountants couldn't ignore the spike. Last-minute ticket sales for remaining Australian dates jumped 12% overnight. Yet those closest to Katy swear the tears were neither scheduled nor suppressed. They were the inevitable leak of a pressurized heart performing under fluorescent scrutiny. In her hotel suite at 2 a.m., Daisy asleep beside a stuffed platypus, Katy reopened her notes app and typed 3 new lines for an untitled ballad. "If I burst, catch the candy."
Is Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom's relationship in trouble? Rumors are bubbling that things aren't exactly smooth sailing. It's over. They are waiting till her tour is over before they split. Katy is currently on her Lifetimes tour, which is set to wrap up in December.
Every shard is sweetness shared. Even cracked shells guard treasure. She saved the draft, whispered goodnight to the dark, and promised herself the next show would be sung, not survived. Celebrity heartbreak doesn't stay backstage. It recruits online armies eager to define the narrative. Echo chambers. #crossfire. Brad's late-night confession and Katy's on-stage tears didn't just trend. They collided, spawning a digital superstorm that turned private pain into public currency. On X, #Justice for Brad hit worldwide trending in under 20 minutes, carrying 2 narratives. One praising hard-won sobriety, the other accusing strategic timing ahead of awards season. Quote tweets multiplied like fractals, every sympathy post met by a skeptic's side-eye gif. TikTok played mirror ball, glow-filtered edits dubbed Pitt the shadow work king, while licensed therapists stitched rebuttals warning, accountability isn't content. Katy's breakdown sparked #FreeKaty only hours later. Supporters formed a piñata pact, pledging to drown hate with positive facts. Her UNICEF work, her safe space concerts, Daisy's bedtime rituals. Critics fired back under #StageQuit, arguing the tears were confetti-timed for ticket bumps. Instagram polished pain into art. Her black and white post-show selfie eclipsed 4 million likes. But brand deal stories dropped minutes later, fueling cynics who equate vulnerability with merchandising. YouTube split into 2 fast lanes. Reaction channels stitched Brad and Katy clips into neon arrow timelines promising Hollywood meltdown explained, cashing in on CTR spikes. Long-form essayists countered with somber piano beds and titles like, "Have we monetized human suffering?" Reddit deep dives became think tank arenas. r/stop drinking hailed Pitt as hope in flesh. r/popheads tracked every lyric tweak in Perry's setlist, color-coding songs by perceived heartbreak level.
I need to be the best version of myself.
He handles the insanity of my life with grace, with loving grace.
There's Bachelor Orlando today with a mystery woman who bears a striking resemblance to his former fiancé.
Behind those pixels, publicists watched real-time sentiment dashboards glowing green, amber, or urgent red. When spikes hit crimson, friendly micro-influencers slid empathy-heavy takes into the feed, nudging conversation from breakdown toward breakthrough. By week's end, grief, skepticism, solidarity, and meme humor ricocheted through algorithms tuned for dwell time profit. Proof that modern heartbreak isn't suffered alone. It's syndicated, remixed, and rented to the crowd for the price of a swipe. Parallel roads to possible redemption. Brad's blueprint is monastic. He wakes at 5, swims laps until sunrise paints the Pacific gold, journals with fountain pens that stain his fingers ink blue. He's rumored to be scouting locations for a micro-budget indie about anonymity and sobriety, a vanity project only if honesty counts as vanity. Industry veterans whisper that he could finally win the Directors Guild Award he never chased. Katy's blueprint is neon. She blasts Debbie Harry while rewriting verses for an 8th studio album filled with metaphors about balloons that pop but still sparkle. She buys a new upright piano and lets Daisy thump random keys, sampling the toddler chaos into opening tracks. Rumor says she's planning a limited series documentary, candid therapy sessions, lullabies in hotel bathtubs, FaceTime cameos from supportive exes. She's betting that the world will watch a phoenix rebuild feathers live. But can reinvention truly outrun the past? Legacy. Lived out loud. Legacy used to be measured in awards and box office receipts. Today, it's measured in the relatability memes forged from messy midlife pivots. Pitt spent decades cultivating stoic masculinity. His unexpected vulnerability may prove more culturally valuable than any golden statue. Perry built an empire on cartoon-colored empowerment. Her raw confession could turn fans into lifelong witnesses rather than casual listeners. Sociologists note this phenomenon. Modern celebrity is a mirror where the audience rehearses its own crises. We click to see ourselves cry, to test drive coping strategies, to measure our private grief against public spectacles. In that sense, Brad and Katy's parallel pain is not just entertainment. It's crowdsourced group therapy disguised as pop culture. Which leaves only one question. What exactly do we do with stories this big? Full circle conclusion. Heartbreak is Hollywood's oldest cliche, but in one feverish week, it felt painfully new. We witnessed an aging matinee idol admit the one failure a billion-dollar paycheck can't fix, and a pop goddess turned stage lights into confession booth strobes. Their stories aren't cautionary, they're catalytic. They prove that none of us graduate from being works in progress, that reinvention often sprouts from wreckage, and that transparency can be louder than any guitar solo or V8 engine. So, the next time a news alert screams about a superstar's downfall, pause before adding your commentary emoji. It might not be the end of their movie. It might just be the pit stop before a faster, louder, more honest lap around the track. And maybe, just maybe, that lap will help the rest of us steer through our own hairpin turns with a little more grace.